From the creators of Relevant Magazine, this is the Relevant Podcast.
It is Friday, September 27th, 2019. My name is Jesse Carey. This is the Relevant Podcast. Here with me today, all the way from Paris, France. I was going to say, I don't know. What is friend in French, Tyler?
Ami.
My ami.
Yeah.
My moi ami, Tyler Huckabee.
Bonjour, everybody.
And joining us on the ones and twos. The one, the only, the Chandler Strang. He made it out of his producer booth slowly filling with water by battering down the windows with a mixing board, which he will be
right back where he started. We rebuilt the booth. It's filling up with water again. He's got 1 hour.
The seams are sealed by duct tape. But before we move forward, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by the book Something Needs to Change. Life's hardest questions don't just demand answers. They require action. David Platt, best-selling author and founder of Radical Inc., came to this realization as he witnessed urgent spiritual and physical needs during a trek through some of the highest mountains in the world. His new book, Something Needs to Change, describes his journey and invites you to see how God desires to use your life in greater ways than you ever imagined. Pick up your copy of Something Needs to Change in bookstores everywhere. That's by David Platt. All right. Well, like I said, here with me today is my good friend, Tyler Huckabee. On the show, coming up later, we talk with Social Club Misfits. They have a new collection of songs out today called Doom. Really excited to talk to those guys. So first, Tyler, you want to take this opportunity to address something at the front of the show, right?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. We said during the last show, as everybody's aware, that of a lot of the events that have taken place with Relevant over the past week and a half now, with the stories being told by former employees that have led for our founder, Cameron Strang, to step aside for the time being. These are obviously things that as we said, we take those very seriously. We addressed those at length in the last episode. If you missed it, I'd encourage you to go back and listen to those before you hear this, where we get into a little more details. We did promise to be transparent about the process with everybody as far as what action steps we are going to take moving forward to rectify the very serious complaints that are brought up about the culture of this company. We are continuing to have discussions internally amongst the leadership team here. Those of us who are still around here to figure out what we're going to do, as well as talking to people outside the company, people who have been very, very gracious with their time and their wisdom and their resources to provide some insights about the best way to move forward and to make sure that this place is supportive for everybody who comes to work here, and also for everybody who looks to Relevant to be a voice at the intersection of faith and culture. We'll give you updates as we finalize plans here. Don't have a ton right now to say this because obviously there's still a lot of moving pieces and we're making some pretty significant decisions here. So we want to make sure we're the right ones. I'd expect we'll have more to share in the very near future. But we didn't want to let this episode go by without assuring you that we continue to take this seriously. This continues to be the thing that we are, the top priority for us within Relevant, for me and Jesse, the rest of the leadership team, Amy, John David, Jess, all these people, we're working very, very hard on it. And I can say that I have been very, very grateful for the leadership team personally over the last few days, and very appreciative of the conversations and what we've been able to develop so far. So you'll hear more very soon, and we look forward to making some decisions that will lead to a restoration and hopefully a better Relevant for the future. I also do want to say I'm sure that a lot of you saw the announcement on social media from Annie Downs. Annie F. Downs will not be part of this podcast anymore moving forward. She explained her reasoning on Twitter, so you can look that up if you want to there. All we want to say here is that we love Annie. Annie is our friend. That does not change with her place on this podcast, does not change at all about that. And I think, I hope, I believe that I won't speak for her, but I think she'd say the same thing about us. We're very, very grateful for the time she spent on here. And I would encourage everybody to go check out That Sounds Fun with Annie F. Downs, which is also a great podcast.
It really is. All right. Well, I want to get to some of the business at hand today on the show. Tyler, do you watch the show, or Chandler, do you watch the show American Horror Story?
I have an interesting relationship with that show.
Okay.
Yes, I have seen like the first 2 seasons, I think. Kind of fell off as it got like campier and campier more, because I like spooky stuff, especially as we come up on our spooktacular. Yeah. We're in the season for it. It's been interesting over here in Paris. It's a real hot fashion item. A lot of people wear the American Horror Story shirts. It's like a big thing in France. Yeah,
like the new season, like the camp one?
Just the logo on the shirt, just the American Horror Story logo. So
do they know what the logo says?
That's a good question, and I can't answer it. I don't know the answer. It may mean something totally different over here. Yeah. I just assume it means the same thing.
So is that the extent of your relationship with it? It's seeing T-shirts with the logo on the streets of Paris?
Well, that's my most recent relationship with it.
Yeah. Chandler, are you a watcher of the show?
I think I saw the first season, but it wasn't something I wanted to keep going with, I guess.
Yeah. How dare you, Chandler? How dare you watch such trash, such pollution from Hollyweird? That was a trap for both of you. No, there's a reason I asked that question, not to lure you into a trap and exposing yourselves for fans of the horror genre. The real reason is someone sent me a link this week. And so for a little context, in recent weeks, we had been discussing like an obscure Bible story. We're coming up on the Halloween season and we had discussed like an obscure Bible story in which I believe it was, King Saul, right? Went to visit the Witch of Endor to summon the ghost of Samuel so that Saul could seek Samuel's advice. The problem was Samuel's been dead for a while. So it's a really weird story. And a lot of people don't know that there are mentions of ghosts beyond the Holy Ghost in the Bible. But in fact, there is in that story. So we had been talking that on recent episodes of the podcast, and someone sent me a link to an AV Club American Horror Story recap. You guys are familiar with the recap format, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So a lot of websites do this, particularly the AB Club, which is a really great pop culture website, where for select prestige TV, or not necessarily prestige TV, so for a handful of popular television shows, they do episode recaps of basically what transpired in that episode and a little bit of commentary, a little take on it.
I like them. I go to AV Club for a lot of they do good work over there. Lots of really interesting. They find stuff I missed on AV Club a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes I read recaps for shows I don't even watch just because I'm interested in the writing. But someone sent me a story, and this is the headline, and this is a recap from the new season of American Horror Story. American Horror Story would like to remind you there are ghosts in the Bible. Okay. That is the headline for this recap. So I read the recap, and there's certainly a lot of talk about some of the religious content in this season. Evidently, there's, it's American Horror Story. Evidently, there's a Satanist. There's like references to like purity culture and things like that. But, in the recap, there is no mention of, what's referenced in the headline, that there are ghosts in the Bible. But I'm assuming neither of you guys saw this.
I didn't know. I totally missed it.
Nope.
I have a theory.
Okay.
I have a theory.
Oh, okay. I like where we're going.
I think I don't know. I haven't seen it. I want to go back because I just saw this morning as we're prepping for the show, because I haven't had a chance to go back and watch this episode. I would be dropping in mid-season and just trying to find out what this reference is. But I have a theory that so many people that listen to our podcast were Googling ghosts in the Bible in the last couple weeks that the algorithm, experts at the AV Club were like, get Ghost in the Bible into the headline. That's my theory.
You think just to boost the SEO, they're tanking on numbers, and they said, what we can do is we can sort of piggyback to the relevant conversation about Ghost in the Bible. We can hitch our wagon to that train and just coast all the way to financial solvency.
Yeah, to me,
it's no crazier than Ghost in the Bible.
It's no crazier than the Witch of Endor being a Bible character, which for my harvest party this year at my church, for my Holy Ghost wiener roast, the Halloween alternative,
your Holy Ghost sock hop.
Yeah, my trunk or treat, because we can redeem the pagan holiday of Halloween simply by moving it to a church parking lot. That's all it takes, and calling it by a different name. You can literally do the exact same thing that, people are concerned or somehow summoning, pagan occult rituals by moving it to the parking lot of the local church and changing it to celebrate the harvest, not Halloween. So when I attend my event this year, I will be going as the Witch of Endor. You're supposed to go as like a Bible character, right?
Didn't we talked about this? Well, the Witch of Endor is about. Didn't we talk about this? Because you remember when I told the story that I was under the assumption as a little kid, because Endor is also a Star Wars planet with the little Ewoks on it. So in my mind, I just had an Ewok witch sort of pulled up, which I think would be. Could you do that? You may have to recruit Noah sort of to play one of the short, the Ewoks are pretty little, but you could just get an Ewok costume, a little witch hat, a black cape of some kind, broomstick, and there you go, right? That's the Witch of Endor.
You're the Witch of Endor. So, as you can see, this topic is right at the forefront of the faith and culture conversation right now. Our Bible, Ghost in the Bible. So, I'm not a regular watcher of American Horror Story. I'm not judging those who do. It's just not on my list. But it is interesting that this has happened. So something to keep an eye on here.
I'm excited to continue to follow this story. I'll keep you updated on the American Horror Story beat here in France, where it remains a hot trend.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of hot trends, coming up next.
Oh yeah,
it's the hot list. You're listening to Days Go By Men I Trust. At the beginning of the show, you heard Hot Motion from Temples. All right, now it's time for this week's...
It's the hot list. The hot list. It's sizzling.
There it is. Right on cue, Chandler. It's crazy how much the water slowly filling your producer booth really keeps you on your toes.
It doesn't shake him. Wet or dry, Chandler delivers the same.
There's been behind the scenes, and this isn't me throwing shade on Chandler, but I will say this. There's been many times we'll be like, now it's time for this week's. Chandler, now it's time for this week's
TikTok.
Play the jingle here, please.
Yeah,
it's amazing how much how effective the water is.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't make any mistakes, we'll turn the water off, Chandler.
All right. So the first item on our list today is news with Instagram. Instagram is actually going to start restricting shady posts about like diet stuff. Mm-hmm. So if you ever spent much time on the platform, you've likely encountered posts promoting like, diet products with like hashtag Fitspiration or weird like detox drinks. Like what does a detox even really mean? And
sometimes get rid of the toxins to get rid of all the toxins you picked up.
The toxins.
Yeah.
Ah, the toxins. I absorb so many toxins.
But when you drink this inevitably green situation, and then you're detoxed. That's how it works.
My body is flush from all the Monsanto's chemicals being pumped into the water supply. Sometimes they're even straight up, promoting things like cosmetic surgery. Well, their parent company, Facebook, has announced they're doing something about it. Both of the platforms are implementing a new policy that will make posts featuring those types of products. If it features these weird kind of diet stuff that they're trying to sell, only users of the over the age of 18 will see them. So if those posts contain an actual price or it looks like they're selling it, you have to be 18 or over for them to even show up in your feed. Also, if the posts make like what they're calling, this is their term they're using, miraculous health claims, they'll take it down entirely. So if you say, if you drink this drink, it will de-age your hairline or something, unless there's some drink I don't know about, then it will be taken down. Emma Collins, who is Instagram's public policy manager, she, in her announcing of this policy, seemed to acknowledge just how unhealthy bad information about self-image could be to users, particularly young ones who are under the age of 18 and are very impressionable, especially when it comes to issues of like self-image. In her quote, she said, "We want Instagram to be a positive place for everyone that uses it. And this policy is part of our ongoing work to reduce the pressure that people can sometimes feel as a result of social media." Tyler, what do you think of this new policy that's being implemented at Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah, so I like it. I'm a fan of science, I guess. Like I'm with some qualifications. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with helping. Yeah. What I am curious about is using words like miraculous claims. That's a very vague.
Yeah.
I could see that being like a sort of subjective, and some people being like, well, this is miraculous, this is, miraculous is obviously a big word, but this does create has a lot of health benefits to it. Yeah. And I don't know who at Instagram is equipped to decide what health claims are considered valuable and which are not. But I feel like that's going to be pretty, people understand what vitamins are, right? And if your drink has a lot of good healthy stuff in it, then you can tell people it's going to make you healthier. That doesn't seem that hard to figure out.
Yeah. But I do think
as opposed to like the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop situation, which is just like, here's some sort of like,
put these three stones under your pillow every night.
Exactly. Yeah. That's where you lose me a little
increase
bit.
your chances of not getting, and you don't need a flu shot this year.
And I know we may have some listeners who are big believers in like alternative medicine and healing power of stones or whatever. And I just want to make sure that I want to be very clear. I think you're wrong. I think that those things are extremely dumb.
Listen, if you're interested in buying $300 Goop wheatgrass nose plugs, be my guest. But I do think people need to be wary of false advertising claims.
Venmo me $300 and I'll send you a salad, and I think it'll be.
But Tyler, to your point, using the term miraculous as that is their definition of what they deemed right and wrong, is interesting, because I think too, because they could have said like unrealistic or fantastical or something, but miraculous has specific religious connotations.
Yes, unfounded. Science can't explain this.
Yeah. So, but not just unfounded, science can't explain this, but like when people think of miraculous, I feel like they think of miracles. And miracles are, I would think the most common association with them are, is faith. And so to say that they're going to restrict things if they make miraculous health claims, I'm not saying it's problematic. I'm just saying that's an interesting wrinkle to this story, because, what if, and again, maybe I'm being absurdly hypothetical here, reading into the implications of this, but I do feel like the vagary of social media policies has gotten this country in a lot of trouble, you know?
Agreed. For sure.
Like, you know,
and this isn't the same thing as like promoting, allowing a hate group to exist on your site, obviously.
No, not, yeah. And I'm not trying to equate the two, like morally or ethically.
Sure.
But I do think sometimes social media policies are so vague, and, you know, we'll use words like graphic. You know, you know, like we have to take something out if it shows like graphic violence or
injury, harm. Yeah.
And that's some of those terms are subjective, you know, like it does a movie trailer seem like I could see a Fast and Furious movie trailer where guys, you know, where The Rock is, you know, throwing henchmen through the window, and I have no idea if they lived or died, and see that as graphic violence, you know, where other people wouldn't. And it just seems like miraculous is not only subjective, but it's subjective with religious implications. Like what if a church said, you know, was talking not necessarily a product they're selling. I mean, it could be, but something that, you know, they deemed like supernaturally miraculous. I just feel like that term could lead to some unintended results. I don't know.
I hear what you're saying. No, I hear what you're saying. And I think it sounds like you're feeling a little confused, feeling a little anxious about all of this. And I'd like to tell you that if that's how you're feeling, I'd like to invite you from your $19.99. You can subscribe to Doctors Don't Want Me to Tell You About This. Doctors don't want me to tell you about this.
What?
You're not going to hear about this. You're not going to hear about this from
Big Pharma. Shut this down.
But you, and also anybody listening to this, just go ahead and Venmo me, Tyler Huck, Venmo me, and I will be happy to send you. You will. I have not slept as well as I'm sleeping right now in a long time. I can't tell you what's in it. But needless to say, it is miraculous.
It's one packet of super youth powder, and you just dump it right in your water supply, and you shampoo your hair with it, and the follicles absorb it right into your mind.
Local water supply. You can spread it around. A little goes a long way.
Right to the city reservoir. Don't do that. I think that's a serious crime.
That's probably illegal.
Yeah, I read about these two kids who put soap in the water supply as a joke. Have you ever put soap in a fountain? Like, did you ever do that joke when you were a kid, in a mall fountain or something? Or detergent, and like, oh, it's bubbling. Some kids, I read about a story. Maybe I'm like misremembering it, but because it was years ago. I was like, well, this escalated quickly. Put soap in the city reservoir, which is, you know, like, what's the prank? Everyone water stays soapy. And I think they were charged with like domestic terrorism. Like, you cannot never put stuff in the city water supply. That's a pro tip. Okay. No matter what Goop is saying. So anyway, on to the next story. This week, a trailer was released for a Christian fantasy movie called Heaven Quest. So here, you know, it's released by a studio called King Street Pictures. And the film Heaven Quest is inspired by the classic Christian novel. If you grew up in a Christian home, even if you haven't read it, you have some probably awareness of it. It was written, in the 1600s, Tyler's A Pilgrim's Progress.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah. Bunyan, right? John Bunyan, right. Yeah. John Bunyan, you know, it's a classic story that a lot of Christian kids will read from like the 1600s. So I'm going to read the official synopsis. And Tyler, you watched the trailer this week, did you not?
I did watch the trailer. I couldn't not. With a name like Heaven Quest, what was I supposed to do?
It's very cool.
Not
it is
watch
a very cool name. All right. I'm going to read this is the official synopsis here. Okay. A regal man named Vangal is thrust on a journey against his will when he is suddenly and mysteriously arrested. Injured and lost after escaping the Dark King's men, Vangal begins to have strange dreams and visions of a mysterious woman in white calling him from the unknown territory of the north. Armed with a book called The Record of Ancients that he receives from a wise sage named Elder, Vangal embarks on an adventure that takes him through the treacherous mountain range, underneath deserts, the Lake of Doubts, and the Forest of No Return. Along the way, travel companions share about his fabled good king and his son in the north, if he can make it there alive. For as ambitious as that plot synopsis is, because there's a lot happening there.
There's a lot.
There's fabled kings.
Which one do you think? I think I'm the Forest of Forgotten Dreams in that write-up. Where would you tag yourself on the light-up?
I mean, honestly, I consider myself the ultimate hero. So Vangal.
Yeah,
obviously
Vangal.
Obviously, and I have a lot of weird dreams too, like Finkel. For as ambitious as the plot sounds, and this is like a faith-based movie, I was actually from the trailer, which was released and you can watch this week at relevantmagazine.com. I was kind of surprised at the production value. I thought I was actually kind of impressed by it. Like it looked surprisingly good from production value standpoint. And I thought it almost had like a Zack Snyder-y 300 type of vibe to it. What were your thoughts?
Definitely looked a little 300 indebted. Definitely was, I wouldn't put it at quite like, I don't think it was ready for the big leagues at Hollywood, but it was definitely a cut above. We've seen worse Christian movie trailers by a long shot. There's no way I'm not seeing this movie regardless, because I think it's a sort of big swing that's either going to be very entertaining. It's going to be very entertaining either way, right?
I know. That's the thing, man. I when I watch it, because first, it's an awesome name, Heaven Quest, and Pilgrim's Progress is like, I remember like looking at, I haven't read Pilgrim's Progress in years, but I remember as a kid, like,
same.
That was back when a time, it was like the Hansel and like Hans Christian Andersen. That's who did like, where they would write kids stories where, the villain, it wasn't like, villains these days where, if you're watching an episode of like Paw Patrol with 7-year-olds, the villain wants to ruin the town marching parade by putting kittens in the front instead of puppies, right? like that's how villainous it gets for kids' children's programming then. Like literally there was a time when they would write children's book and it was like, no, she's putting children in an oven. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember reading the Pilgrim's Progress as a kid and I'd be like, this is pretty scary, man. like this book is legit, So
I think it was cool because there, when you're a kid, there was so many in the household I grew up in. There was so much media I wasn't allowed to consume. But Pilgrim's Progress kind of had it all. You had swords. You had like big cool fights. A lot of the analogies in retrospect were pretty on the nose. Like you had like the bog of doubt. Like I think I get it. I know where we're going with it.
Yeah.
And I believe I can't remember the name of the actual character of Pilgrim's Progress. It might have been Christian.
Yeah, I think it is. Like, yeah.
So they didn't. I would say
the symbolism was
the symbolism maybe left a little bit to be desired, but you can't accuse it of again being a big swing. And I'm all about big swings. In my art consumption. So obviously.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, it's called Heaven Quest. You can check out the trailer at relevantmagazine.com. It hits like digital platforms on October 25th. Okay, and other movie news. This one is kind of movie news, but it also ties into like a social issue. That's why I want to bring it to the table. Aurora shooting survivors are asking the Joker movie team to lobby for gun reform. So, Todd Phillips' Joker movie is coming soon to theaters. And is it coming this weekend? Do you know, Tyler?
I believe next.
Okay, so it's coming next week into theaters. And so if early reviews are in, it played at a lot of film festivals, but in the trailer, you kind of get the basic vibes of it, which it's not like the old, like, Jack Nicholson, cartoony Joker, right? Like, so Joaquin Phoenix, who is an incredible actor, but he certainly has a way of making his character seem very unsettling when he wants to. Plays what appears to be a social outcast. It's like a Joker origin story. He's some manner of social outcast. And he, uses a disguise and a persona. And ultimately, from what early reviews are saying, acts of domestic terrorism to kind of get some sort of social revenge. Tyler, from what you've read about the movie so far, you're pretty plugged into the comic book world. Does that seem pretty accurate as a description?
That's my understanding. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, obviously, but it does sound like the people who have seen it, it's gotten some very good reviews. It's gotten some less good reviews, but I think everybody seems to be on the same page about his performance, that saying that he's doing a very good job in it, and that it's in general a very unsettling movie. Yeah.
Well, some people may remember back to 2012 about a tragedy that occurred at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, when a gunman left 12 people dead and 70 injured. That mass shooting, actually took place on opening night at a screening of The Dark Knight Rises, Christopher Nolan's Batman movie. Right. And, the shooter had dyed his hair, colorfully, and, did this association between him and the Joker character sort of developed in a really tragic and terrible way. Well, survivors and family members of victims of that shooting, they've sent a letter to Warner Brothers that share some of their concerns about the movie. And they're actually asking that the studio lend its voice to push for some sort of gun control reform. Here's what they said in a letter that was received by The Hollywood Reporter and was signed by 5 family members of victims. It says, "We are calling on you to be a part of the growing chorus of corporate leaders who understands that they have a social responsibility to keep us all safe." The letter goes on to say that the shooting was perpetrated by a socially isolated individual who felt wronged by society and acted. They continued, "As a result, we have committed ourselves to ensuring that no other family has to go through the absolute hell we have experienced and the pain we continue to live with. Trust us, it does not go away." The signers of the letter expressed that they were concerned that the movie could inspire copycats who, would carry out some sort of horrific attack. On Tuesday, Warner Brothers released a statement, and here's what they said. "Gun violence in our society is a critical issue, and we extend our deepest sympathy to all victims and families impacted by these tragedies. Our company has a long history of donating to victims of violence, including Aurora, and in recent weeks, our parent company joined other business leaders to call policymakers to enact bipartisan legislation to address this epidemic. At the same time, Warner Brothers believes that one of the functions of storytelling is to provoke difficult conversations around complex issues. Century Aurora and XD, which is the name of the theater where the shooting took place in Aurora back in 2012. They will not be screening the new Joker film at all. There's a lot to unpack with this one. I don't want to, I'm kind of interested in your take on this story because it not only ties into a film that's, seemingly attempting to say some provocative things, but it ties back to a real life tragedy and an issue in gun violence that we're still grappling with how to deal with. What are your thoughts, Tyler?
Well, I've got a few because I've thought about this a lot. And like you said, I do like these comic book movies, grew up with comic books, and so I still like a lot of the films. I think that it's important to know what this statement from the families isn't doing. They're not saying don't release the movie. They're not they're not saying Warner Brothers shouldn't do this. They're just saying, in addition to doing this, can you also make sure that you're using your pull, your platform to advocate for gun law reform in this country? I mean, it's a very responsible thing to this isn't censorship. This isn't them. They're not pushing. They're not saying don't make this. They're just saying, in addition to making this, can you also take some responsibility for the ways that we as a culture do glorify violence and a lot of times, and that this movie, before I say that, I think the other interesting thing about this is I think it's amazing how much discourse there has been about it before anybody's really seen it. This premiered at Toronto Film Festival. Those people saw it, but we a lot of people are talking about it, both saying it shouldn't be released and defending it without actually knowing. Well, I'm not saying that it may do some irresponsible things, that it may take some liberties with its characters that I don't think movies should. But without seeing it, it's hard for any of us to know what we're talking about here. Yeah. So I think they handled it pretty well. I really do. I support the letter, and I wish Warner Brothers had issued kind of a stronger affirmation of what they said in response to it. But I'm only vaguely interested in this one. The Joker just isn't a character that I find all that intriguing. We've just seen him so many times in the movies at this point, and there's a lot of other characters out there for comic book nerds that I'd be way more interested in seeing get a little chance in the spotlight. But for the time being, I would say I support the statement as it stands right now. I think it was really well handled on their part.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I don't have anything against comic books. I have you still some relationship with them, but I almost feel like, the plot lines aside, about him being a social outcast, I almost feel like the Joker is more interesting without an origin story, because without an origin story, he's an idea. He's chaos. He's anarchy. He is what happens when morality breaks down. giving him, like, overly humanizing him, I feel like takes power almost out of that idea. That's why I feel like Heath Ledger's performance was so gripping, was because we don't know where this guy came from. Mm-hmm. He is, he was as much a symbol for corruption and compromise as he was as a human. But who knows? I'm not sure. I haven't seen it, but it'll be coming out soon. Yeah,
it could be good. Maybe I'll like it. I'm just not sure right now.
Well, a version of the Friends theme in a minor key became the power ballad you didn't know you needed in your life. I feel like the Friends theme song is probably one of the most iconic TV songs of all time. Sure. It's the Rembrandt's classic, I'll Be There For You. Kind of a one-hit wonder, but man, I mean, everybody knows that song. I'm pretty confident it's if you were to make an objective list of the top 5 most memorable TV theme songs of all time, I feel like I'll Be There For You would be right on the top. Right on the top of that list. But if you listen to the lyrics, the song is a bummer. Your job's a joke. Is. You are broke. Your love life is
nobody loves you.
DOA. Yeah. You have no job. You're, what's the old, the Dumb and Dumber? We got no jobs, got no friends, our pets' heads are falling off, Or like when Dwight's talking to Michael, he's like, you have no like at the Michael Scott roast. Do you remember that? He's like, you have no friends, you have no land, and no one loves you. Like, things are not looking good for the subject of the Friends theme song.
Yeah.
So there's a YouTuber and a singer. He's pretty good, named Chase Hofffelder. He was bummed out about the news that Friends will be leaving Netflix next year. And he decided to do a version that's more true to the lyrics of the song. And he placed it into a minor key. Let us hear a clip. This sounds like it's Mary, did you know?
Yeah, right?
That's your baby boy.
I told you life was gonna be this way.
It does.
Your job's a joke, you're broke. Your love life's DOA. It's like you're always stuck in second gear.
Here we go.
When it hasn't been your day, your week, your month, or even your year. I'll be there for you when the rain starts to pour. I'll be there for you like I've been there before. I'll be there for you.
All right, there we go. The power ballad you didn't know you need.
But doesn't it also kind of make you focus on, like you said, it's a bummer of a song, and all this person really has to offer them is, I'll be there for you because you're there. This is a very conditional relationship that we're setting.
It's very transactional.
Yeah. I want you to be there. Like, I would
hope
to
you would be there
for
for me if if
maybe the reason your job's a joke and you're broke and your love life's DOA is that your friends suck. Have you thought about that?
Like, maybe it's hard for me to be there for you because, as I clearly stated, I am broke. Okay, my job is a joke. Okay, it hasn't been my day. It hasn't been my day, much less my week, much less my year. Okay, sorry I haven't been there for you, but can you be there for me? Yeah. I clearly stated that. All of those things I've stated. All right, final item on today's hot list. An Episcopal church is holding a Bob Dylan Mass this weekend. I guess depending on when you listen to this, it's happening on Sunday. That we recorded this early Friday morning. So Christ Episcopal Church of Covington, Louisiana, they're holding what they're calling a Bob Dylan Mass. It's a tribute mass, and it includes meditations as well as performances of classic Bob Dylan bangers like Knocking on Heaven's Door, The Times They Are A-Changin', Forever Young, Mr. Tambourine Man, and even one of his gospel songs called Pressing On. The church director told the Christian Post, Dylan is a particularly good choice because of the depth of his lyrics. He said, sometimes echoing the prophets and empowering us to think more critically about societal and global ills, as well as responding to the needs of the world, referencing Dylan's lyrics there. He did. I mean, there are a lot of stuff deep in the Dylan catalog that does seem, in that prophetic nature.
For sure.
If especially, this isn't included on the list there, but like if you listen to like a song, I saw a take on Twitter the other day, which was a really interesting take by someone who said that the Bob Dylan song Hurricane was the first true crime podcast. If you're
that's interesting. Yeah, sure. That makes sense.
If you listen to the song, it talks about a person of color who's wrongfully convicted of a crime, and sort of everything that transpires after that. But he does it in the form of a song that's really interesting, but tells an entire narrative. But when it's something like that, that is Dylan. I think you could make a case in a way using like sort of a, when you say kind of prophetic in the Old Testament sense of like calling something out and, trying to enact change. Tyler, what are your thoughts about a Bob Dylan mass?
Well, I don't mind a Bob Dylan mass. I'm a big Dylan fan. I like. I'm a little surprised that you said even one of Bob's gospel songs, and it kind of seems like it'd be especially focused on Bob's gospel songs. I'm also a little surprised at the inclusion of "Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man." My understanding is that song is about grass, but whatever.
Grass.
Who am I going to judge? Who am I going to judge? What am I? What am I? I'm not the cops. Do whatever you want in your Episcopal churches. I wish I could be there for it. It sounds cool.
Yeah. Last year, Grace Cathedral, an Episcopal congregation in San Francisco, they held a Beyonce mass. So, So
also makes sense. Also checks out.
Yeah, sure. So why not? All right, that'll do it for this week's Hot List. Up next, Social Club Misfits.
Him and other Dexter Bradley were just out prowling around. He said, I saw two men running out who looked like middleweights. Jumped into a white car with out-of-state plates. And Miss Patty Valentine just nodded her head. Cop said, wait a minute, boys, this one's not dead. So they took him to the infirmary. And though this man could hardly see, he told him he could identify the guilty man.
You're listening to Bob Dylan. The song is Hurricane. Classic, man. Social Club Misfits is a hip-hop duo consisting of Fern and Marty Marr. Earlier this year, you may remember, they released a collection of songs that was called Mood, and it was a kind of about the positive side of faith. It was a very upbeat album, or at least an upbeat collection of songs. Well, they recently released the second half of that album called Doom, and in it, they wrestle with things like doubt and questions about faith, and it's a much darker but a really interesting collection of songs. I was really excited to be able to talk to him about the release of songs and kind of what's it like deep diving into kind of sometimes the darker side of faith and really wrestling with things. And here's part of my conversation with Social Club Misfits.
You're welcome, you're welcome. Here's another glimpse in the life of Mr. Seldom, on a mission to heaven so he can tell me well done. He got all my secrets, he promised he never tell none. You're welcome, there's no other feeling like it. Music for your soul, so we welcome you. Everyone's invited, everything on hold. It's the season of multiplying talents. And if you ain't come to work, then you're passing valid.
I want to talk about a couple tracks in particular, but I want to start with Believe. I think that was the first one I heard from, that was a single first, right? Before it was released with them. Yeah. So I first heard that, and, the irony was I heard the song, I loved the song, and right around that time, there are a couple of these leaders. There's Josh Harris, there was that worship leader from, Hillsong, these guys who were renouncing their faith, or if not to the point of renouncing it, questioning if they even believe it at all. And it seemed like all of a sudden we were in this moment where people were talking about doubt and they were talking about questioning their faith, and they were and it seems like right now a lot of people are trying to figure out how to talk about that the right way. And then then I hear this song and I'm like, I feel like they really kind of get this tension of wrestling with doubts and things you don't understand, but choosing to believe. So I want both of you guys to tell me a little bit about, your own personal, experiences with doubt and faith, and then how it kind of manifested in this song.
That song was produced by me and this guy named Ben Lopez. It's the first song I ever produced that ever came out on Capitol. I've been producing for a little bit, but this was like the first song that we actually nailed to be a part of the record. So it was really important that, whatever we spoke about, we kind of made our mark. But I felt like in person, like when you hear my verse, a lot of I feel like there's no safe space to talk about your doubt. There's not a safe space. There's not a safe space to be like, you know what, like, I kind of don't know what we believe. Or I don't know what God is doing here. Or I don't know what's like, without feeling like you're totally against God. You're like, there's no safe space that you could tell people, hey, I'm struggling. And so what happens is, I feel like for a lot of us it goes up. It starts to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And just because there's no open forum for us to just be like, hey, you know, like, what is this about? And so, like, for me, I've had that moment in my personal life where when I left the church for a couple of years, I totally doubted God. I was like, God, what am I doing here? Like, what is happening here? Like, I didn't really know. I had so much doubt. And I was like, everything I just did or done the last 3 years working at a church, is it all BS? Like, is it all crap? Like, is it all nothing, you know? And so for me, I feel like God can work with that, though. And I think it's okay to have those moments in your faith, because I feel like for me personally, it definitely strengthened my faith. And so a lot of, I feel like, music that we make is catered to someone who's possibly been hurt by the church or had an experience where they just feel as if, like, you know, like, I don't know, they don't have an open forum to speak and to talk. And so, like, for me, you know, Believe was important because originally when we created this song, it just ended on Do You Still Believe? But I also wanted to give a little hope. So at the end, I produced the ending so that Dave James, one of our friends, could sing on it. And I was like, this is what I want you to say. I want you to say, I believe. Even though I doubt, even though I'm in this place right now where I'm like, God, where are you? What's happening? I still know that deep down you're in control, but I kind of just need a sign. You know, I just need you to, like, show yourself, reveal yourself. And so for me, I feel like it was like this Peter, you know, Paul moment that, and like, I remember in the Bible, there's a moment where, you know, Jesus comes and then the disciples aren't all there. And he's like, you know, tell specifically, you know, Thomas, or tell, you know, like, Jesus always makes this, he leaves room for someone who doubts. It's okay to doubt. And I think that the doubting should inevitably, like, leave you back to Jesus. Because the truth is, I'm not doubting because I don't believe that there's a God. I'm doubting because I just feel like it's happening. And I want God to reveal himself in a way. And I think that almost every person can say, you know, I remember when God showed up here. So we all have moments in our life where we can say, you know, God, like, I know you're real because of this moment that happened. I need a new moment that renews my faith. And so for us, and for me personally, I just felt like this song it's really catered to somebody who's been through hurt. And somebody who's been through some serious situations. Because I feel like, you know, I even say in the song, you're probably laughing up in heaven. I was telling God to take the wheel, but giving him direction. It's funny, like, in my mind, I'm like, you know, God, I want to do this. And God's like, you're telling me you want to do this, and then you're saying take control, but you want me to take you here. When I need to take you to this place, somewhere opposite, that your soul needs, if your soul wants to prosper. So, like, God's big picture just laughing at me, being like, dude, you are my kid. I love you, but you're still my kid, and let me take control. And so, like, that really was the idea behind the song for me personally.
Yeah. Fern, what are your thoughts on Believe?
I mean, ironically enough, you know, I got raised in the church. You know, I was raised in the church, parents are pastors and stuff like that. So I always had faith and I always believed. And even though when I disappeared, and I call it the lost decade, I kind of went out, you know, in my 20s and kind of messed those things up and got in trouble and just wilded out. I just always remember, like, you know, even in my lowest point, regardless of how long I shunned it, regardless of how long I tried to, like, not listen to the call of, Fern, you have a calling on your life or you have a purpose. I finally realized that, you know, I had to give it all. I had to surrender. You know, no matter how long I try to put it off for, you know, I actually realized it was like a GPS. I say it all the time. Like, I remembered all the lessons that my parents taught me in those dark days and the times I was locked up, you know, from the times I was first being a dad, from the times I was always going through trials and I was always going through stuff that was leveling me up. And I just, regardless of what I went through, I always had that little voice that I just clinged on to, and I always believed, ironically enough. So, you know, even in my lowest times, you know, that's why I wrote that. I was like, you know, there's so many different points in that verse, but I was just like, sometimes suffering in silence, I was scared to tell you, like, you're just scared. You're trying to, like, hide from God, but you can't hide from him. So it was just a beautiful, you know, time for us to be able to really speak and get vulnerable about, you know, where we were, you know, during that time.
Yeah, do you still believe? and what you cannot see. Yeah, I know God is watching me, but it's kinda hard to see. Yeah, do you still believe? And what you cannot see. Yeah, I know God is watching me, but it's kinda hard to see.
Mood and Doom, I have both been really enjoyable to listen to, but I like how Doom isn't afraid to like tackle this stuff. But I also, like the tone of it and how it's always kind of pointing towards hope. And I wanted to ask about one more song, which is towards the end of the. Are you guys referring to this as an EP? I mean, I know those sort of distinctions have sort of faded in the modern era, but is Doom technically an EP?
It's technically a full album over the year. So you'd have Mood. Then we have a song with David Crowder called Testify.
Yeah.
And then it would come Doom. So it's like kind of like the full picture of Christianity, up, down, Mood is, that's what we were saying before, like Mood is the happy part of Christianity. Yeah. Everything's good. And then Doom is like the, God, where are you right now?
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, Testify is just us sharing a little bit of our testimony. And like technically it would be considered one full album, but you know how nowadays.
Yeah, it's
EP and more music.
Nobody ever changed the world by playing it safe. When you're afraid, it's the only time that a man could be brave. So don't tell me God is silent when your Bible is closed. I know that I'm far from perfect, but I want to be close. Even on this broken road, I know that God's in control. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. Yeah, so I don't want to overcomplicate it. Your love doesn't change, it made me who I am, yeah. And even when I don't think I can make it, your grace surrounds me, I'm a singer to the end.
That was Social Club Misfits. Up next, Ask the Cast.
Remember who you're talking to. The only one who death bows to. That's the God who walks with you.
Is there something that interferes with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you. Connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment and get help on your own time and at your own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist. BetterHelp has licensed professional counselors who specialize in depression, anger, stress, anxiety, and more. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Relevant podcast listeners get 10% off your first month with discount code RELEVANT. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/relevant. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor that you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/relevant.
You're listening to Brian and Katie Torwalt. The song is Remember. All right, so we have asked you, we send out, a tweet asking you to ask us things that we will pass along. Okay, Melissa says this, Tyler. I ended up in a small group full of people who are much older and not at all in tune with pop culture, leaving it to me to educate them. What are some aspects of the youths that I could be sure to introduce to them?
Yeah. So what are the kids into basically these days?
Right.
Is that what we're asking?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man. Should we each get like one?
Yeah.
Thing? One diehard thing.
Yeah, we each get one.
Okay.
Tyler, what is your thing?
Well, I already gave you American Horror Story tease. That was free.
Fair.
That was free. That one's on the house. My other one. I was going to say vaping, but you can't do that. Uncle Sam's cracking down on the e-cigs, so we can't say that any longer. You know what's great? You know what's been a source of a lot of joy for me over the past few days that I know all the teens are also very into. The teens are enjoying a lot. You got to get on TikTok. That's where the action is. The comedy that you can find on TikTok. This is not being done on HBO. This is not being done on NBC. TikTok is the number one source of the best, most incisive, most subversive, progressive comedy out there right now. They make everybody at SNL look stupid.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say, get on TikTok and start playing around. You're not going to believe what you find.
I'll say this too about the whole vaping situation. I invested heavily in jelly bean flavored e-juice that I'm sitting on pallets of. Now this law, I will now be selling it on Instagram as a detoxing health tonic. It's one little swig. You'll be just fine. This is a deep one. Tyler, we'll throw it to you. And, we're running a little long here, so I won't keep us too long. But do you feel the effects in movies like superpowers, resurrection magic are helpful or harmful for people's appreciation / wonder for biblical miracles? Do you feel it makes them old hat or more believable or have no effect at all? Tyler, I'm going to tee this one up for you. What are your thoughts on this?
Give it to me one more time. So
So do you think that like effects in movies like superpowers, resurrection, magic,
CGI?
Yeah, if they are CGI. Helpful or harmful for people's appreciation.
That's a good question.
Or like the wonderment of biblical miracles. Like, does it have any effect on people's understanding of what the Bible says?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I do. I have thought about this a little bit. I don't know that I have a definitive answer yet. I do think that one thing that I've kind of come to is in the Bible, whenever it describes like these visions that like John sees in the book of Revelation, right? Or that Isaiah or Jeremiah see, whenever they talk about the things we could only really create with special effects in movies here and now, is how difficult of a time they have describing these things. Like Ezekiel talks about a wheel within a wheel, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I can't picture what that is.
Some people think that's aliens. Speaking of aliens in the Bible.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've heard that theory too. But everything is like extremely difficult. It's not like, it's not a special effect in the sense that it's something that you haven't really, like he shoots webs out of his hands or something. It's like they're seeing something that they don't really have a language for, that there's not really a dimension for. So I think that in the miraculous, when it comes to talking about like the work of God, I think that is something that when you see it, because there's no other word for it. There's no other way to describe it. There's nothing else you could ascribe it to. You could maybe argue that special effects in movies are kind of stealing away from our appreciation of like natural wonders, like the stars or so. I could see that. But in terms of the work of God, I think that is just on a different level than just really cool looking special effects, but in real life. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally, man. All right. Well, hey, that'll do it for Ask the Cast and today's show. I want to thank our guest today, Social Club Misfits. Doom is out now. And as Chandler pointed out to me during one of our breaks, that Doom is actually moved backwards. Man, they didn't even say that in the interview. They just expect me to be smart enough to realize it. And I wasn't. Good job, Chandler. That is pretty cool. So check out Doom. It's really great. It's out now. Also want to thank BetterHelp. You can go to betterhelp.com/relevant. Simply fill out the questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched up with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/relevant. Also, thank you to David Platt. His new book, Something Needs to Change, is out now. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the magazine. Don't forget to listen to our brand new podcast for church leaders called, which is out now. We just released an episode featuring both Kim Walker-Smith and John Mark McMillan talking about worship. So you'll want to check that out. And other than that, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Tyler Huckabee.
I'm Chandler Strick.
See you guys.
For listening to the Relevant Podcast. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on iTunes. Check out other shows from the Relevant Podcast Network in the podcast section at relevantmagazine.com. And while you're there, browse exclusive podcast merchandise at our online store. Make sure to subscribe to Relevant Magazine. Info is available at relevantmagazine.com/subscribe.
You have no friends, you have no land, and no one loves you.
Relevant Podcast Network.